Hello, NWOBHM here. Today it's the 7th of February 2024. Excuse my slightly husky voice, I'm trying to get rid of a cold, but it's lingering like they often do. Anyway, today, quite a surprise one for me this was. You might not remember a band called Sacred Alien from the new wave of British heavy metal days back in the early 1980s. You might not remember them. They weren't around for too long. A couple of 3 years, I think, and didn't quite work out for them back then. I think there was a single, maybe two, and some demos and whatnot, and then they were gone, which was a bit of a shame because they did have something different to offer than what you might call an inverted commas traditional new wave of British heavy metal, because they had all sorts of sort of like spacey, proggy influences as well, a bit like a heavied up Hawkwind, I suppose, in rough analogy. But then they disappeared, and that looked like the end of it. But then I think it was it 2020? I think it was, or around about then, 2019. Skull Records, if you remember them, I don't think they're around anymore. Put out a CD of Sacred Aliens demos from back in the day, and then it appeared that would be it for the band, never to be heard from again. Or would it? Because a few days ago I was idly doing nothing. Well, I like idly doing nothing because I'm lazy. And then I saw the name pop up somewhere, Sacred Alien, and it rung a bell. Curiosity piqued, so I thought I'd better figure out what it's all about. And did a little bit of digging around and discovered this Sacred Alien Transmission Intercept, which is a live album that they've reformed. 3 out of the 4 original members are in the band, and there's me thinking it might be a lost performance from 40 years ago that some other label had discovered, maybe obscure NWOBHM releases or someone like that. But wrong. No, it's a live album of their performance last year, indeed. So it's that recent, and there we are. And I also found out that 2 years ago, was it 2021? I think it said that they even put out a studio album that I'd completely passed me by. And there we are. That studio album, 2021, The Universe Doesn't Care About You. Didn't know about that one. So I went to the band's Sacred Aliens BandCamp page and found that Legends, the studio album, The Universe Doesn't Care About You, and Transmission Intercept, all available for sale there. But given that I'm still stuck in the past, preferring a physical product, the very, very limited number of CDs are all gone. The download digital versions or whatever they are there, but the only CD I could get my hands on was one of the 100 or so that they've made available for Transmission Intercept. So that was it. Hit the button, please order, and it delivered very quickly. And it's excellent. They say that its performance from last year at what was called a Sonic Rock Solstice, and the band stormed through a set which mixes in the old and some stuff from that recent new studio album, switching backwards and forwards between the two, and it's a real pleasure to listen to. The energy's all there and the enthusiasm, and it comes across really well. Yeah, it's heavy because remember, they do have the roots back in the new wave of British heavy metal days, and to have them back after 4 decades is quite remarkable, isn't it? And they've still all got that heaviness, yes, but that spacey cosmic edge to it as well, amongst the chunky riffs, some nice trippy solos, really excellent stuff. We got couple of recent ones are pretty good as well. We've got Beautiful Delusion, which is kind of chunky and trippy and catchy. And then, if I'm pronouncing this right, Owama Manua, something like that, which is all about that. If you remember a few years ago, scientists and whatnot got all in a kerfuffle, didn't they? Because some big long thing appeared in space somewhere, and apparently it was changing course and whatnot, and they thought it might be a spaceship, and excuse me, that cold. And so they've written a song about that, which is nice and chunky. Just all good stuff from start to finish, you know. But then we go back to the 80s with Portrait of a Saddened Mind. That's another good one from back then. Moving forwards again, as they switch backwards and forwards over the decades, we've got Death Note. That's nice, heavy, and if you listen to the lyrics, well, what can I describe? It's an imaginative concept, shall we say, that the lyrics deal with, and I think they're perhaps a little bit tongue-in-cheek. But if you listen to the song, yes, it's nice and bouncy and heavy, but listen to the words, and I think you'd want the power that the song is all about. Let's leave it at that. Then we again back again in time, Legends. We go back 40 years, showing again how perhaps Sacred Alien's different style back then was perhaps a little bit too different for the time, maybe too ahead of its time. And it all finishes up with a really thumping extended version of Energy, thunderous closer. And in between, you know, I'd almost forgotten they do a cover of David Bowie's Moon Age Daydream. So excellent stuff that Sacred Alien are back from nowhere and pumping out good stuff. As I mentioned on Sacred Alien's BandCamp page, which I will put a link to in the description underneath, the digital version of Legends, The Universe Doesn't Care About You, and Transmission Intercept are all there. But again, as I mentioned, CDs are scarce, and as I record this, 7th of Feb 2024, all the CDs have gone, bar a few for Transmission Intercept. So if you're after a CD, you'll have to work fast. Otherwise, the digital versions are there for you. So that's Sacred Alien. Nice surprise to have them back. And thanks for a cracking album. Oh, please subscribe to the channel before you go if you wouldn't mind. Right, thanks a lot. Ta-da!